Good evening. I hope everybody's well at your house. We are going to continue with the human body, systems, and senses. This is domain 3. And last time we were together, we talked about the eye, the internal and external structure of the eye, as well as the function of the eye and how it processed light so that light could be sent to the brain to make sense of something that we are seeing. So just remember that your human body has various systems and all of them are interconnected. So far, we've learned about the skeletal system, the muscular system, and the nervous system. And I want to ask you a question. What does the term sensory organ mean? What is a sensory organ? Well, a sensory organ is an organ that allows you to use one of your 5 senses. Remember the parts of the eye? When eyes are seeing, there is a sequence or order by which each part of the eye receives and processes the light that is coming into the eye. So let's explain the route that light takes. First, light passes through the cornea, then the pupil, then the lens. Finally, it lands on the retina. So first, next, then, and finally are all words that indicate sequence or the order in which something takes place, steps in a process. Those words help us know what order anything happens in. So today we're going to be learning about the ears and the different parts that work together to allow us to hear. Do you think sound travels in a sequence or an order, or there is a step-like process to hearing? I bet there will be. Let's listen and find out. Here's our narrator, Ricardo, again. Hear ye, hear ye. Today we're going to poke around in your skull once more to learn about another one of your sensory organs. I'll give you a hint with another of my special riddles. That's interesting. We are located near your eyes. There are 2 of us. My twin hangs out on the opposite side of your head. We both hate the sound of sirens. What are we? You're right. Plus, it's right there on his shirt. I hope you got that right, boys and girls. You're right. It's the ear. Your ears work together with your brain to help you hear. Wow, there was a very similar sentence in the last chapter. Your eyes work together with your brain to help you see. Your ears work together with your brain to help you hear. Think about all the different sounds you hear throughout your day. You hear alarm clocks. You hear water running, doors opening, horns honking, bells ringing, people talking, and so much more. Your ears are very important in the classroom where you need to listen in order to learn. Your ears will help you thicken up your cerebral cortex. Ooh, your ears, just like your eyes, are going to give you a fat brain. Love it. You are going to hear about all the parts of the ear that work together as an interconnected system. Your ears are divided into 3 sections: the outer ear, the middle ear, and the inner ear. Just like your eyes, only part of your ear is visible. The other parts are hidden inside the protective bones of your skull. Mammals are the only animals with outer ears. The outer ear consists of flaps on either side of the head. These are the flaps. The ear canal and the eardrum. That's your outer ear. Your outer ear flaps are called pinna. They are made of skin and a tough elastic tissue called cartilage. Who remembers which other parts of the body contain flexible cartilage? Do you remember? You can wiggle it back and forth, the tip of your nose. Okay. The bottom part of each ear flap, or pinna, is called an earlobe. It is much softer than the top part because it does not contain any cartilage. Some earlobes are attached to the side of the head, whereas, we're going along, some earlobes are attached to the side of the head, whereas, and then you've got to change your thinking. It's a contrast. Others dangle loose. Do you know which sort you have? You might have to go look in a mirror and find out. Shaped something like a cup, your outer ear is a sound catcher. Let me do this. This is a great picture. It collects sound waves from the air around you and funnels them through your ear canal to your eardrum. Your ear canal is like a tunnel, about half as long as one of your pinky fingers. The inside of the ear canal is lined with tiny hairs, and earwax is constantly being produced by glands beneath the soft skin. Can anybody guess what earwax does? Earwax prevents infections by keeping dirt and other particles from building up in the ear canal. At the end of the ear canal, sound bounces off a thin, flexible flap of skin that stretches across the end of this tunnel. This membrane, or thin skin flap, is called an eardrum because sound vibrates off it the same way sound vibrates off the top of a drum when it is pounded with a drumstick. Your eardrum separates your outer ear from your middle ear. So there it is. The outer ear includes your pinna, your ear canal, which is just like a tube, and your eardrum, which covers it, prevents dirt from getting on the inside. Your middle ear is a tiny, air-filled space just behind your eardrum. It's right here. This is your middle ear. And it's filled with air. How does air get in there? That's weird. Well, this little tube, it's called a eustachian tube, and it lets air get in there. Did you know that you are an airhead? You have air inside your head. So if somebody calls you an airhead, say thank you. As the eardrum vibrates, right, here's the eardrum, 3 itty-bitty bones inside the middle ear began to move too. These 3 bones are named for their shapes. There's a hammer, an anvil, and a stirrup. These are the smallest bones in your body, and the stirrup is the smallest of the 3, no bigger than just a grain of rice. These 3 tiny bones form a chain held in place by muscles that leads from the middle ear to the inner ear. Hammer. You know what a hammer does. Moves up and down and hits onto something. An anvil, that's what it's hitting onto. And then look at this teeny weeny itsy bitsy bone called the stirrup. Think of a stirrup on a horse's saddle. Okay, it's time for an experiment. Close your mouth and form a puddle of spit inside your mouth. Ooh. And as you swallow your spit, listen closely. Did you hear anything? You should hear a little click. The middle ear is linked to the back of your throat by a narrow tube. And whenever you swallow, chew, or yawn, the tube opens to let air travel. Can you yawn? Air travel in and out of your middle ear. That keeps the air pressure constant on either side of your eardrum, preventing it from bursting. Have your ears ever felt clogged in an airplane or while you're riding in a car over a high hill or a mountain? Suddenly you hear a loud pop, and then you're fine again? That was the tube connecting your throat to the middle ear opened up and let air in. You have air right in this little tiny pocket of your middle ear. If this gets clogged up, like if you have a bad cold, this can get clogged up, and so the air can't move around in here. It can get clogged with bad infected stuff and cause you to get a really bad ear infection. And in that case, if there's fluid in here that can't get out, you might have to go to the doctor if this gets infected, and it will affect your hearing because your middle ear is not working well. Your inner ear is located inside your skull. It is the most complicated and delicate part of the ear, consisting of a maze of tubes inside a liquid-filled bony hollow space. This is your inner ear, the inner ear. At the end of this maze is a snail-shaped, coiled, bony tube filled with fluid. So this is supposed to be filled with fluid. This is not supposed to be filled with fluid. Complicated machine. This part of your ear is lined with tiny hairs, and it plays a very important part in hearing. It's called the cochlea, which means snail in Latin. Do you think it is well named? I think it is. Some people who cannot hear get cochlear implants. That's an invented device that functions just like the cochlea functions. The second part of the inner ear is the auditory nerve. Oh, look at that. It's a nerve. Where does that tell you it's going? Yes, it's connecting the ear to the brain. It's likened to the optic nerve in the eyeball. It's an auditory nerve. So, just exactly how do ears work? Your ears collect sound waves or vibrations. Sound waves are tiny, invisible movements in the air. Sounds are only heard when these waves bump against the outer ear and get funneled down into your ear canals. Different sounds have different wave patterns. Loud sounds, such as the sound of a jackhammer, have large waves. Soft sounds, like the purring of a cat, have smaller waves. The louder the sound, the larger the vibration is inside your ear. For you to hear sounds, vibrations must travel from the outer ear, through the middle ear, to your inner ear, and onto the brain for processing. Let's follow a wave sound through an ear to see how it works. First, the outer ear or sound catcher collects sound waves and channels them into the ear canal. There's the ear canal. Once the sound waves are channeled into the ear, they hit the eardrum and it causes it to vibrate. As the eardrum vibrates, so do the three bones in the middle ear, those teeny weeny little bones. Next, hinged together by miniature joints, the hammer hits the anvil hits the stirrup. All these vibrations in the middle ear cause liquid in the inner ear to vibrate as well. This liquid in the inner ear. Wrapped inside the cochlea is a long, narrow ribbon with thousands of hearing cells, each loaded with tiny hairs. The vibrations in the middle ear create waves in the fluid of the inner ear. which cause the tiny hairs of the cochlea to ripple as well. Next, the sensory hair cells bend and stretch, producing nerve impulses. These signals are carried by nerve fibers or threads along the auditory nerve to the hearing center in the brain. The brain is able to recognize the nerve impulses or signals as sound, even determining the direction from which the sound comes. The brain receives lots of different vibrations at the same time and is able to tell the signals apart, passing the information along to you and allowing you to hear. These signals hardly ever get mixed up by your amazing brain. For some people, hearing is difficult or even impossible when one or more part of the system is not working properly. When people are not able to hear anything or perhaps only a very few sounds, we say that they are deaf. Your inner ear is the seat of your hearing, but it has another important job to do as well. Your balance is controlled by your inner ear. Here's another picture. The eardrum, the hammer, the anvil, the stirrup. Then this is your inner ear. There's the nerve, cochlea. These are called semicircular canals. Semi means part, a part circle. Canal, semi, half a circle. Okay. Your balance is controlled by your inner ear. Nestled beside your cochlea are 3 curved tubes called the semicircular canals. These canals are filled with fluid and they're lined with tiny hairs just like the cochlea. Whenever you move your head, turning around, lying down, or bending forward, fluid inside the semicircular canals causes the hair to bend. The bending of the canal's tiny hairs sends nerve signals to your brain to let it know where and how you're moving. Your brain then sends messages to your muscles to keep you steady, maintaining your balance. Have you ever whirled around so fast that you became dizzy and lost your balance? Well, that's because the fluid in the canal kept moving for a few seconds, even after you stopped. Well, it's almost time to stop for today, but first, close your eyes and fold your hands in your lap. Let's sit very quietly and find out how many different sounds we can hear in the room right now. Wow, some of you heard a lot. I could hear the refrigerator running. I could hear water dripping outside because it's raining. I could hear people talking in the hallway. Just for fun, before we go, I'll leave you with another riddle. I have ears, but I cannot hear. What am I? What do you think? I think you're corn. Let's go over our questions for today. So, does sound follow a similar path as light? It does follow a sequence or order through the ear parts, similar to how light travels through the eye. Can you list or order the sequence or parts of the ear that sound travels through that allow you to hear? Sound waves are collected by the outer ear, channeled into the inner ear, past the eardrum, into the middle ear. Next sound hits the eardrum, the hammer hits the anvil hits the stirrup, and the cochlea, hairs inside the cochlea ripple, which sends messages through the auditory nerve to your brain. Why do your ears produce earwax? To prevent infections by keeping dirt and other particles from building up in your ear canal. What are the three sections of a human ear? Outer ear, middle ear, inner ear. What are the parts of the outer ear? You have a pinna, which is your ear flap, made of cartilage. You have an earlobe, which is part of the pinna, the ear canal, and the eardrum. That's outer ear. What are the parts of the middle ear? Hammer, anvil, stirrup. They are the smallest bones in the human body. What is this snail-shaped part of the ear called? Cochlea. And what's the purpose of the cochlea? It contains hearing cells and helps you to hear. What happens to the sound at each stop along this path of the ear parts, which allows a person to hear? Well, the outer ear is a collection system. It's collecting sound waves, channels them into the ear canal where they hit the eardrum. It vibrates, causing the three little bones in the middle ear to vibrate. The hammer hits the anvil, anvil hits the stirrup. The vibrations in the middle ear cause liquid in the inner ear to vibrate, creating waves in the fluid of the inner ear and causing the tiny hairs of the cochlea to ripple. The sensory hair cells produce nerve impulses, which are carried along the auditory nerve to the hearing center of the brain. The brain recognizes those nerve impulses as sounds. Pretty complicated system. Can you compare and contrast ears and eyes? And how does your sense of hearing help you on a daily basis?